Even if you start back in the New Testament times, when you look at the four church planting centers that were started in the New Testament, so you have Alexandria and Antioch and Jerusalem and Rome. The only one that we know was started by the apostles, by the full-time missionaries, was Jerusalem. The other three, the Bible doesn't tell us who started them. So it must not have been one of those apostles that are known by name. It was regular church members, maybe a trader, maybe a merchant, maybe a soldier that went out into one of these cities and planted a church, and that grew into one of the big church planting centers that sent out and planted all the rest of the churches across Europe and Africa and the Middle East. By the year 1000, there are 20 million Christians in the Western Roman Empire part of the world, and there's 12 million Christians across Asia. And that church in Asia, as it spread across the Silk Road that went from Rome all the way to China, the church in Asia spread because there were merchants that were traveling the routes of the Silk Road, and everywhere they went, they started a church and they shared the gospel, and local people came to know the Lord. And the evangelization of all of Asia at that time was really on the backs of businessmen. It's the businessmen, the merchants, it's the regular church members, the craftsmen that went out, and they fled, and the Holy Spirit led them out. And this is how the early churches started being planted. That's what we are looking to recover in this movement. It's not something new. It's something that really has its roots in the very beginning of how the church grew. And wherever you see the church growing most effectively, you see that it's on the wings of business. It's on the wings of normal people that have understood that the gospel and the Great Commission is something that is a calling for each one of the church members, not just for the pastor. And when each of us realizes the responsibility that we have with the Great Commission, the impact that we can have on society is multiplied by 100 or 1,000 times. Because you have 100 or 1,000 times the amount of people as you have pastors out there sharing the gospel, impacting the world, being transformational. And when we do that in a strategic place where the gospel is not known, that impact is so much greater even than when we're in a place where there's lots of other Christians.